Over there who's Lynn. Do you wanna start this off, yeah? So Lynn is a lady who's quite well known around Norwich, right? She was the female pool player who is one of the top in the country, who walked off after you were forced to play against a biological man. So do you want to tell everyone who's listening at home and everyone who's here all about that?
So I got to the final in Preston in November last year, and that was the 6th occasion that I'd faced a transgender opponent in the previous 2-year period. I had lost every time, but that's not the point, because to me it's not about winning or losing, it's about the unfairness. I've got 2 sons that play pool, adult sons who are much better than me, and that was genetic. They just got better than me as soon as they reached a teenage age. But I had enough by the time it came to November. I told people that I was not going to play anymore in October when our organisation did the U-turn on the policy, because they had promised us in August 2023 that we were going to have a female-only policy from January 2024, and then they backtracked 8 weeks later and changed their mind, because they basically received legal letters from the transgender player, and they paid them off. 2 of the organisations paid this person off, and the other one said, no, we're not going to change it, and they're still being taken to court, the English Blackball Pool Federation, right now, and unfortunately the date for the court is not set until next year, so we're not going to get any move further forward with this until next year. Although we are also fighting a separate court case where we're taking the 2 organisations to court that paid the transgender player off, so it's all a bit complicated behind the scenes. But I just, October 2022 was the real wake-up call, and I just beat the world champion, and I walked to the table, and there was a new player, a new transgender player that nobody had seen before. They were just wearing purple nail varnish pumps with stripy or spotty socks, one or the other. And it did not look like a woman to me at all. I knew immediately it was a man. I knew immediately, and I couldn't play, I couldn't hold my cue, I lost. It was embarrassing. I was really awful, because I couldn't stop. I was angry, I was upset, I wanted to cry, all these different emotions went through my head at the time, and I literally saw one of my sons standing in front of me and thought, if this was my son, I'd be shaking the shit out of him right now and saying, stop being so selfish, you're not going to travel over women's dreams. And I'd also seen the youngsters that are coming and saying they want to hang up their cues and not play anymore, which is how I felt. But I'm 51, so to me, I'm coming towards the end of my career. But to see young girls, 19, 20 years old, say they don't feel that's a fair thing, but they're not allowed to say anything. We weren't allowed to say anything for 6 years. It's in our policy, basically, that you have to use certain words when referring to transgender people. You're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to. It's basically all written there. So I have, like the people that just walked past, and I'm going to admit this now, I had been brainwashed into believing that was a woman, because I called Harriet Hayes she, and I still do it now, even though I've made a decision 3 months ago to not use pronouns anymore. I still find myself writing she sometimes, and having to delete it. I still find myself saying it. I've said it a couple of times today to a few people, and I have been brainwashed, the same as the younger generation. What's refreshing for me today is to see the students against tyranny, of the younger generation waking up. So some of them are waking up, but nowhere near enough. And actually my 9-year-old son is being taught this in school, and he goes to a local school in NR5. He came back last week or the week before and told me he got taught about transgender today. And I said, I need to go to the school really, because I believe there's only 2 sexes, and that's what I've taught my son, that there are only 2 genders and only 2 sexes, men and women, and that cannot be changed. That's immutable, it cannot be changed. No amount of surgery is going to change me into a woman or a man. And the swimming pool, UEA over here, my sister uses the UEA swimming pool twice a week, and has seen a transgender woman in the changing room here as little as 6 weeks ago. So it is still happening here, and my son's swimming lessons with his school take place here as well. So if the local school that my son is in, there's pretty much, there must be other schools that use the swimming pool here for school children to come back and forth. And at the forefront of what should be happening is safety, privacy should be respected. For women, I mean, I can't imagine if I was in there and I saw a man, I think I would just kick off and tell them to get the hell out, to be honest. And that is what I intend to do if I do see one. But lawfully, like legally, this isn't allowed. There are, in the Equality Act, exclusions where you can lawfully exclude. And this is one of those cases, because safety, you can lawfully exclude to meet an aim of safety. And that is what allowing men into ladies' changing rooms and swimming pools, toilets, and all the rest of it. The toilet conversations are the toilet one is a delicate one. I had the conversation on Facebook because I actually self-excluded from the toilets at pool events because I saw Lucy Smith, who was the one I just told you about, who I could tell immediately was a man. And the cubicles, there were about 8 cubicles in the hotel at Daventry. And as I came out of one, they were waiting to come in, and I thought, oh Jesus, I'm not going in there anymore. So I used the disabled toilet. And yes, I do have a stick, but I don't ordinarily use a disabled toilet because I don't need to. And there are people that need to use it more than I do, so I don't use them. But I have been doing that at pool events. And I was called out on that by a woman on Facebook who asked me why it made me feel uncomfortable that they were in the toilet. And I was like, do you want me to spell it out for you? Like, I do suffer with PTSD, so that might make me more uncomfortable than the average woman, but I'm pretty sure it makes every woman uncomfortable, whatever age, whether it's a young girl. At pool events I go to, there are children there as well. Some of these have the holiday camps, like the one in Preston, so there are people bring their kids to watch, and these players are allowed in the toilets there and use those toilets there, and it just needs to stop. So the question we need to ask the UEA is why they're not using the Equality Act and the legal route where they can lawfully exclude and put a policy in place so that everybody understands who comes here. Because I didn't know anything about this happening until I was thrust into the limelight, if you like, when I conceded in November. I didn't have a clue that men were going in women's toilets or changing rooms, rape crisis centres and all the other ludicrous places that they're being allowed. And the one thing I will say is that none of us females, consented to any of this. And consent, in law, I think we all know, is one of the most important things, that the woman's right to say no to anything. And that includes men in women's spaces, I'm afraid. So nobody asked for my consent, and I did not give anybody the right to take it away, either. So Keir Starmer, if you're listening, I don't want you removing my consent. I want it back. I want the spaces back for all the women across all of the world, to be honest with you. Anyway, I could run on for ages, so I better let someone else speak now, I suppose. I didn't write a speech because I literally could talk about this subject for hours, and if I wrote it down, I would be here until next Saturday. So, but thank you for inviting me, James. And like I said, and you're doing a great job. If you can get more students involved in the younger generation to wake up like you guys have and have a domino effect, then that would be fantastic. Okay? Alright, thanks guys.
Now, she mentioned the students there. I do want to explain. So, every single time we've done this, we've had about 10 to 15 students come down with us. And unfortunately, this time, a lot of them are away doing things, so we weren't able to get them. But something else, me and Sid have been here talking to students and doing a bit of leafleting. We have been kicked out a few times, but there are 10 students at this university who agree with us. 10 of them. And I don't know why, but they seem to be scared of Antifa. And I mean, looking at them today, I don't really understand what they're scared about. But because they are scared of the intimidation tactics from far-left terrorist groups, because that's what they are terrorists, because they are scared of intimidation from far-left terrorist groups, they are scared to come out and stand with us. So to all those watching at home, next one is going to be on the 10th of August. Now this one we're going to do on Gentleman's Walk. And the reason we're doing it on Gentleman's Walk is because tons of people walk past there every day. And when people walk past there, they stand and they listen. So for the next couple of months, we're going to turn this into an actual movement. And to those who are watching at home, please, please, please come and join us, because we want to end this woke indoctrination of our young people. So I do want to get Paul speaking, because Paul is funny as, I'm not going to use that language. Paul, do you want to come give a speech? Everyone give a round of applause.
So, a few minutes ago, we had some students, and I use that term very loosely, walk past, and I asked them, how many genders are there? And we got the usual abuse, the F word, the C word, the hysterics and the shrieks, and oh, there's as many as you want, there's an infinite number. And it's just indicative of the level of indoctrination that we're seeing in universities, schools, colleges, workplaces, DEI, and all this nonsense. You know, if you dig up a corpse that's 100, 200 years old, you can tell if it's a man or a woman by the bones. You cannot, it is physically impossible to change your gender, change your sex. It is impossible. Your DNA is immutable. If you're XX chromosome, you are a woman. If you're XY, you are a man. You cannot change that. It is absolutely impossible. You can have as much cut and shunt surgery as you like. You can pop as many pills as you want to. It will not work. If you are a man and you want to identify as a woman, that's absolutely fine. Go ahead, be my guest, that's absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever. But what you can't do is then tell a woman what a woman is and invade their space. You cannot change your gender. You cannot change your sex. It is perfectly acceptable and more than welcome to identify as whatever you want to identify as, providing that you don't then try and trump other people's rights. Is it 75 sexual assaults on this campus? 40 sexual offences in the last 4 years on this campus, and PC Plod over there did nothing about it whatsoever. Yes, that's you, PC Plod. You did nothing about it. Hurty words on Twitter and Facebook, and you're round there with an ARV and a helicopter in 5 seconds flat. But sexual offences, you're not interested. There's no good laughing about it, PC Plod. You weren't interested. And why? Because it doesn't suit your PC narrative DEI agenda, does it? At the end of the day, it's very, very simple. Boys, girls, men, women, and nothing in between. Thank you.
Everyone go to Wilberce's stream, because for some reason my phone isn't charging at the moment, so I think it's because it's on and the charge is bad.
Let's get the
and yeah, John, I will do, mate.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, head over to
early
Resistance
morning.
UB's stream.
Well, not really now.
Thank you very much.
Being
Bye-bye,
young and all. But listen,